Hi, before we start, you can download and print out this trial paper by clicking the link posted on the description of this video. Let's go. Question number 1. Function g is represented by gx equals to ax minus b. A and b are constant. Image of negative 3 is negative 21. So which one is the object? This one is the object, and this one is the image, right? And then the object of 4, okay, the object of 4 is 2. So this is the object, this is the image. So this kind of question is just by substituting the value of object and image into the equation. By doing simultaneous equations, then you can find the value of A and B. Okay, so put it in. Image equals to negative 3a minus b, equation 1. Equation 2, simultaneous equation. So I'll do elimination here. Eliminated, right? So a is 5. Sub this value back to any equation, this or this. So a is 5, b is 6. This is the answer for the first question, value of a and b. Right, now we go to the second one. Find an object which are mapped to itself under the function g. Alright, first thing, you know the value of a and value of b, you must put it back to the functions. So we have gx equals 5x minus b. Okay, once you have that, you have to understand the meaning of object mapped to itself. What does it mean? Object mapped to itself meaning to say that the object, when you put in an input, the answer, which is the output, should be the same value as the input. Input equals to output. Object equals to image. So if you put the object as 2, your output should be 2 as well. If you put the object as 5, your image should be 5 as well. So in this case, we do not know what is the value of the object. So if you put the object as x, your image should be x as well. Okay? So the idea will be if you put gx, put in the x, so the image should be the x as well, mapped to itself. Then since gx is 5x minus b, so we have 5x minus b. Oh, it's not minus b anymore, 6, right? Okay. 5x minus 6. 5x minus 6 equals to x. And find the value of x. So it should be 3 over 2. Alright, let's go. Question number 2. Diagram 2 shows the graph of gx for a domain. Hx is the image of gx under the reflections of y equals x. Okay, this equation, it is y equals x. When you have function reflected by the equation of y equals x, you have to know that this, the output, must be an inverse function of gx. So you have to know that whenever this thing happens, hx is actually the g inverse. Yeah, right? You must know about this. Okay, the first question, find the function of hx. In order to find the function of hx, you are just finding the inverse function of gx. So let's find the inverse function for gx. Three steps, right? First, we change gx to be y, any function to be y. Second step, make x as a subject, so y squared plus 3 equals to 4x, x equals to y3 plus y2 plus 3 over 4. And then change it back to x, change it back to inverse. Inverse is g inverse equals to x squared plus 3 over 4. Therefore, hx, which is the g inverse, should be x squared plus 3 over 4. So this is for A, this is for A. Okay, now we look at B. The domain of function h. Okay, again, function h is actually the g inverse. So if you want to find the domain of g inverse, you just have to find the range of gx. They are the same. Okay, one more time. Okay, let's label this as g inverse x. If you want to find the domain of g inverse, you just have to find the range, the output of gx. So what is the output of gx? Let's figure out, okay? Let's figure out what is the output for gx. Okay, in order to figure out the output or the range of gx, you need to know the input. The input is the domain. What happens when you sub in 3 over 4 into the equation here? Think about it. What do you get? 0, right? What happens when you sub in 3? You have positive 9, sorry, square root of 9. That will be 3, right? Positive cannot be negative 3 because you look at the graph here, yeah, positive 3. So the range of gx is 0 to 3, which is here 0, and which is here 3. So that will be the domain for g inverse. So the answer for this will be the domain of hx should be 0 and 3, including the 0, including the 3, inclusive. Okay, the last one. GHP over 2. No working required. Okay, no working required. It should be just a 1 mark questions. Okay, why is there no working required? Because since we know that hx is actually g inverse, so when we write this again, we can write as g inverse g p over 2. What happens when you have g inverse and g? Right? We go back here and go back. So you cancel each other. The input should be the same as output. Right? If you go here as gx, you go back as g inverse. So no working. Whatever you put in as input will be the output. Object equals to image. So that's the answer. Okay, we go on. Number 3. 10 scouts, which is consisted of 6 points and 4 girls, sit around a campfire. This is very important. A campfire. So what is How do the scouts will be sitting in a campfire? In a circle. So it must be a circle. The way to arrange it in a circle, right? Okay, find the number of ways if there is no restrictions. No restriction meaning they can sit anyhow they want. But be aware, this is a circle. So there are 10 of them. So instead of putting 10 factorial or 10p10, what we need to do is, this is not the answer, not 10pt, not 10 factorial. Because whenever you sit in a circle, the starting point is the ending point. You must always remember, it must be n minus 1 factorial. So there are 10 people here, there it should be 10 minus 1, which is 9 factorial with no restrictions. How many? That will be 3, 6, 2, 8, 8, 0. Okay, that will be the answer for A. Right, so now let me move this to the other side. A. Now we look at B. All the boys must be separated. 6.4 girls. All the boys must be separated. Is there something wrong with the questions? Because I don't think it's possible. 6 boys. Okay, think about that. Let's say I have 4 girls here. Girls, I will use color, red color. Girls, 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 girls. If all the boys must be separated, meaning to say, I can put a boy here, I can put a boy here, I can put a boy here, I can put a boy here. Is there anything else I can put? No way, right? Because I need 2 more slots. If I put a boy here, they are not separated. If I put a boy here, they are not separated. So I don't think that's how the questions is about. I don't think this is how the question is about. If this is the case, it can't be done. It can't be done. Let me look at the marking scheme. Okay. I think that's not how it meant. Okay, let me change a bit of the questions in order to. I think what it meant is find the number of ways to arrange them if all the boys cannot sit together. Meaning, as long as we are excluding the fact of all the boys sitting together, that should be the answer. Meaning, it's okay if 2 boys sitting together or 3 boys sitting together, as long as not all the boys sit together. I think that's what the question requires. So, find the number of ways to arrange them if all the boys cannot sit together. So, 5 boys sitting together is 5, but 6 boys sitting together cannot. All the boys cannot sit together. But 5, yes. 4 of them, yes. So I think that's how the question wanted to be. So if this is the case, so we will have the no restrictions. This is 302880 with no restrictions. Multiply the case that is opposite of it. What is the possible case? Impossible, the opposite case of it. Opposite scenario would be all the boys sitting together. So you find the number of ways by calculating the number of ways where all the boys sitting together. If all the boys sit together, then I will have to tie all the boys together as one. So these are the boy, B. So all the boys here. Then I have all the other girl. So this one as one entity, because I group all the boys together already. This one as one entity. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So assume as 5 groups of people sitting in a circle. So n minus 1 factorial. So I have 5 minus 1 factorial. This is only for these 5 groups of people. But among the boys itself, there are 6 of them. 6 of them, they can swap the place. So you need to multiply with another 6 factorial. Okay? You get the idea? Okay. Now I put it aside. Let's calculate. 4 factorial times 6 factorial. 34560. Yeah, I think this is what the question wants. Okay, so right, this is B. Okay, let's move on. 98% of the students attended a CCA. A group of students were chosen at random. The probability of the students chosen is more than all. So the keyword here is all. All students choose more than 0.69. Find the value of n, total number of. Okay, so 98% is the success rate lah. Success rate. Success rate meaning P. The success rate P is 0.98 lah. So the failure rate is 0.02 lah, by having 1 minus 98%, right? So you have to use the formula. You have to know that this is a probability. It's a probability. So it's a you have to use the formula of NCR, P the success rate with the power of R, and Q the failure rate with this is a binomial, binomial distributions. In binomial distributions, you have to know another keyword will be all. So out of n people, n amount of people that you select, all of them are going for that CCN. So in this case, all of them, NCR, R is actually the n because all of them are going for CCN. So NCN, and then the success rate 0.98, and now R is the n. You have to know now, R is the n now. So now I have power of n and Q 0.02, which is n minus n. It is more than 0.6099. Okay, right now let's find the value of n. Power 0. So power 0, this whole thing become 1. Not significant anymore. And just cancel it off because times 1 doesn't make any difference. Okay, you have to know that what is the meaning of NCN. Do you know what's the meaning of NCN? Think about that. 5C5, what is the answer? 4C4, what is the answer? 1, right? So NCN is also 1. So not significant. Cancel it off. So in the end, you just have 0. Alright, so you have to find the value of unknown, which is the power. The only way is to put a log. So any log you want it to be lah, In this case, I put log base 10, which is LG. I think one thing you have to be away, and then you bring down this power, right? And put it in front. Before you move it, I want you to check in the calculator. What is LG 0.98? All right. Pretty small, right? But what is more important is this is a negative value. So what happens when we have a negative value with an equal sign? It will flip the sign. This is the part. This is the part that is a bit tricky. So if I want to do the following, I have LG 0.6099 divided by LG 0.98. You have to flip the sign, right? Become less than. Even if you do log 0.98 of 0.0999, you also have to know that you have to flip the sign. Because when you bring this as the base, it's a negative base, you have to know that it will be different. Okay, it will be negative value, hence you need the sign. Okay, let's figure out. So you should have n less than 24.475. It did not mention it has to be, by right, this kind of question that the only way they ask you is the maximum number since it's less than 24. If it's less than 24, then the maximum number of students they can take from this case will be 24. It has to be maximum. They cannot go for minimum. If minimum, it's just 0. It doesn't make any sense, right? So it has to be maximum number of students that can be chosen. In this case, will be 24. Alright, that is for A. Okay, now we look at B. Okay, B is a continuous random variable normal distributions. Normal distribution, so it has something to do with this lah. Okay, normal distributions. Okay, let's figure out this part. What does it mean? If I rearrange it, that will be the probability of modulus z less than m over the probability of z less than equal negative m equals to 8 over 1. So what can you observe from here? It's a ratio, right? It's a ratio. So if this is a ratio, then later I'll show you how is it done. First, we try to analyze this part. Let me draw it up first. Okay. Normal distributions. Okay. This part, yeah. Let's break it down. What is the meaning of this? This is the meaning as z less than m, and also because there's a plus minus for any modulus, meaning negative z less than m and z more than negative m. So you get the idea? So if you combine them, it actually means there's two things here, z less than m and also z more than negative m. So how do we draw this? How do we draw this is you have to know that probably you can draw this sketch sheet here. You can claim that this is your m and this is your negative m. If z need to be less than m, meaning it has to be these directions, right? Less than m. And if z has to be more than negative m, it has to be these directions. So in the end, this is the part that is describing it, this whole part. Okay, this whole part. Sorry, we'll draw it nicely here. So this whole part is about this. Okay, then how about this part? Less than negative m. This is the part. Okay, the probability where it's less than negative m. So this is a ratio kind of problem. 8 to 1, meaning this is 8, this is 1. Then I want to ask you, how about this? What is the ratio? How many parts here? Look at this and look at this. Isn't that these two with the same area and same probability? Look at this. Same, right? So if this is 8 parts, if this is 1 part, this should be 1 part as well. So how many total parts here? So we have total parts of 10 parts. 10 parts, right? And the total probability is 1. So 10 parts, total probability is 1. One part meaning this is with the probability of 0.1. Yeah, right. This is a 0.1 probability. This is 0.8 probability. This is 0.1 probability. Total is 100%. This is how you understand it. So now, if they ask for the probability of z less than m, this is your m, z less than m, everything right after this. So you are taking the whole probability, which is 1, minus the probability here, which is 0.1. So the answer would be 1 minus 0.1 equals to 0.9. Whenever you want the probability where it's less than m, the chances is 90%, 0.9, because we are excluding this part. And this is the part with the chances of 0.1. So 1 minus 0.1, 0.9. Do you get the idea? Okay, now the second step is to find the value of m. Okay, this is the value of m. If you want to find it, you have to refer to the table. So if I want to find the value of m, I just have to look at this probability. The probability is 0.1, so I look at the probability of 0.1 and hence finding the value of z. Okay, look at your table, 0.1. 0.1 for probability. Just now I look for it already. So this is here, right? 0.1. 0.1003 minus 2, so it's 0.001, the closest that you can get. So the answer should be 1.281. 1.281 is the answer. Okay? So from the table, Z table, you can tell it's 1.281. That's for value of M. Alright? Now we go to question 5. Question 5 show a semicircle of OBCD with a center and right angle triangle ADE. Given the length of ED is 10 and OABCD with a radius 6 cm. Okay. Find EAD in radian. EAD in radian. EAD. You see a right angle triangle. So if you want to find the radian, you can just use Staccato, I think. Okay, this is the right angle triangle. We know everything, at least two length of the triangle. Two of the length of the triangle. We do, right? Yeah, we do. So we have A, D, E. This is 10. How about this part? Radius, so 6. So this is 12. This is the angle EAD. So angle EAD O H A, so OA, tangent angle EAD equals to 10 over 12. Angle EAD should be 10 inverse of 10 over 12. This one again, you can just use a calculator, right? If you set your angle mode to be degree, you will have 39.8 degree. But if you set your calculator in the mode of radian, it will give you 0.695. How many significant? Does it mention? No. So give more better than give less. 6947 radian. So you can just make full use of a calculator. If it's a degree mode input for angle, this is your answer. If it's radian modes. But for those who do not know how to convert it by using the mode of a calculator, you can still change this into this. How? 39.8 times pi over 180. You should still get 0.96947 radian. Okay, you can try. Just use the pi at the calculator. Okay, that is for A. Now we look at B. The length in cm of the arc CD. Oh, okay, everything is clear now. You have to find the arc CD, and you do know about the radian. Do you know about the radian? Oh, okay, one more step. Please draw a line here. Angle at the circumference. Angle at the circumference. Sorry, let's start again. Angle at the center. This one. Angle at the center is twice of the angle at the circumference. Yeah, they're coming from the same arc, right? Same CD. Angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. Therefore, if this is 0.6947, when you times 2, you get the answer for 1.3894. You get a radian for the angle at the center of the circle. Okay, so use the formula. Arc length equals to r theta. Your r is radius 6 and your radian is 1.3894. 8.3364 cm. Okay. The area of the shaded region. Okay, I think you just have to get the area of the triangle minus the area of the sector minus the area of a triangle, right? Okay, let's figure out one by one. Let me log it off first. Let's start with area of triangle, area of shaded regions. Area of triangle is simple, 1 over 2, the height 12, the base 10. Minus the area of a sector. So the formula is 1 over 2 r squared theta. So we have 1 over 2 6 squared 1.3984. Okay. Now we minus the triangle. Triangle is 1 over 2 AB sine C. So you have 1 over 2 A will be 6, B will be 6, and then angle will be here. So you have 6A, and then B also 6, so 6 squared. Sine C, you have to figure out this part. So the radian here is 180 minus this. So pi minus 1.3894. In terms of radian, it should be 1.75. I don't want to confuse you. Because if I put in radians, then you have to change your mode into radian. So if you change your mode in degree, then you change it to radian. So this one is 1.752 radian. Okay, if you put 1.752 radian, make sure your calculator mode is in radian. If not, if it's in degree, you change it. Okay, 1.752 over pi times 180. Hundredths degree and 39, right? So I put 100.39. Depend on you lah. Okay, you want to put in degree or you want to put in radian, just make sure you have your calculator mode ready. So put everything in the calculator, check whether we share the same answer. You should get 17.29, around that, right? cm squared. 5ABC. Okay, done. Next. 6A. 6A shows the front view of a door. BCE is part of the graph. Okay, A is the highest point. Right. Whenever I have a diagram and I have an equation, I always like to check like where is the origin? Where is the y-axis and x-axis? Yeah, it's better to figure out first. Don't assume, okay? 0.5, 8.5. So here is 9 feet. Here is 9 feet, 9 lah. Right, let me check whether this is if this is the highest point from DE, I want to check whether this is also the maximum point for this graph or not. Okay, if this is the maximum point of this graph, meaning this is your x-axis. I want to check whether this is the x-axis or not. How do I check? So I will differentiate. Y equals to 9 minus x squared over 6. When I differentiate it, I have negative x over 3, and I let it be 0, the gradient to be 0. When the gradient is 0, x is 0. When my x is 0, I put into here, then my y will be 9. So my turning point, or my maximum point, will be 0.9, 0.9, and this is 9 feet. So I can assume that this is also the highest point, the maximum point of the graph. Therefore, 0.9, I can understand in this context. This is the graph. And this coordinate is 0.9. And then the graph should be, if I want to complete it, it should be something like this. Okay, now this is your graph, and you are just finding the surface area of the door, meaning I want to find the area for this part. Everything underneath the graph for a certain limit from here until here. Okay, from here until here. So how do I find? As long as I know the y value, and I can get the x value, and I can find the limits. Can you tell what is the y value for coordinate B and coordinate C? You do, right? This is 9 feet, so this will be 8.5. So the y is 8.5. Can you find the x? Of course, because you have everything you need. So I put it here, 8.5. Let's see what is the value for x. Oh, value for, sorry. I should have not here because this is y. My bad. So I should put it here. 8.5 equals to 9 minus x squared over 6. Figure out. So 0.5 x squared over 6 3 x equals to plus minus root 3. So sub 3 minus sub 3. Okay, so I know the limit already. Okay, now I know the limits if I want to do the area under the graph integrations. So when I do integrations, the limit should be from where? Negative sub 3 to root 3, right? So root 3, negative root 3, then I integrate 9 minus x squared over 6 dx along the x-axis. Where's the thing? Oh, here. Okay, so I integrate it, become 9x minus x cubed plus 18 over 18 with the limit of root 3 to negative root 3. Okay, then you integrate and see what we have. Let's try and see. Make sure you put in everything correct. What is your answer? I hope you get the answer. 30.60. You have to know this is a unit square. Okay, integrate because you are finding the surface area and then find the limits. 6b. Diagram 6b shows a graph with a curve of y equals to gx. Assume this is the one. And a straight line. Okay, yeah, this is gx. This is fx. Given that integrate h0, okay, along gx, h to 0, hm. So this is h. Label it to help you to understand better. This is m. H0 gx along x-axis. So this is the part which is 6. So I need to shape the region. Okay. So this is the part where it is 6 for area. And you need to shape the region. Okay. So make sure you do it here. Find the area in terms of m for the region bounded by the y-axis, gx, and fx. Oh, this is the only part. Okay. So you need to describe this area by using the value of m in terms of m. This part. Oh, very straightforward. Just figure out the area for this trapezium minus 6, and that is the answer for this part. So 1 over 2 for the area of trapezium. The sum of the parallel line. This is what is the height here? M. What is the height here? 2m. So m, 2m, 3m in total. The height between the parallel line, h. Okay. Am I supposed to have h? Is it okay to have in terms of h? Yeah, we can't figure out. So just put h. And then minus 6. And then what do we get? So we have 3mh over 2 minus 6. I think we need to figure out the h part because I think should not be in terms of h. So let's figure out the value for h first, okay? Oh, intercepting point. The gradient of a straight line will be the same as the gradient of the triangle. Oh, okay, right. Okay, there's a straight line here, so we can do something with the gradient. Let's look at the rise over run. So rise over run, the first gradient will be 2m over 8. 2m over 8, but because it's this directions, so it should be negative 2m over 8 equals to this rise over run. What is the run here? What is the rise here? Oh, here not the n. Here is the n, not precise enough. Here is the n. Okay, so the height is m, again negative, and the run is 8 minus h. Okay, and from here, if they are the same, have to times 2 to make it the same. Cut off. So 2m equals to 8. 2m equals to 16 minus 2h. By comparing, 8 equals to 16 minus 2h. 2h equals to 8 and h equals to 4. Okay. And from here, you put it back here. So the answer should be in terms of m, 6m minus 6. Okay, I'll repeat one more time. It's a bit messy just now. Okay. How do we find this area? Which is bounded by y-axis, fx, and gx. So this is the part. So we use the trapezium area to minus 6. Trapezium is 1 over 2 multiplied by the sum of the parallel line, because this is m, this is 2m, so you have 3m. Multiply the height, so this is the trapezium, minus 6, which is the area here. So we have 3mh minus 6, but we have a situation, because you are required to leave your answer in terms of m only, but not h. So meaning, you should figure out the value for h first. And I forgot about that. Okay? And how do I figure out the value for h would be, well, I see a straight line here. So I try to find the gradient. Because I can't do intercepting point, I do not know gx and fx, so I do gradient. So the gradient for this straight line, if I take these 2 points of it, this point and this point, I will have rise over run, which is vertical axis versus horizontal axis, 2m over 8 with a negative sign because it's inclining to the right. Should be the same as the gradient of this part, which is rise m over 8 minus h with also a negative value. In order to figure out this part, I make this 2 as the same value as 2m, hence making comparison possible. Then I compare this part of it, then I got h equals to 4. Alright, so that is for 6D. Now we go to 7A. Alright, so there are some multiplications need to be done. First, there's a square here, and you need to change this to a plus, not a minus. Alright, so make sure you change it before we continue. There's a square here, there should be a plus here. In the form of intercept, meaning the format will be a x minus p bracket x minus q. That's the format of intercept. Okay, now how do we turn this in intercept form? Perhaps we can first turning this vertex form to be in general form first. Expand it. Let's expand and see. Because just now when I do it, I realized that there's something wrong with the value. That's why we need to change the questions. Some typo, I think, in this trial paper. Expand it. Multiply by -2. I think you should get this as answer. So this is in general form. So in order to make it intercept form, your a, the coefficient for x squared must be 1. So take out -2. No, I think it's fine. Okay. Now what I want you to do is to put this in your calculator and then figure out the value for x, solving the quadratic with the help of your calculator. A is -2, B is -1, and C is 6. So you have 3 over 2 and also -2. So the way you write it will be 2x minus 3 and also x minus 2, x plus 2. Okay, because since we know that the format, it has to be just x. The coefficient of x is must be 1. So this the coefficient is 1, but coefficient here is not 1. So you need to factorize it. You take out 2. That will be x minus 3 over 2 and x plus 2. So this is the format in intercept form. This is for A. Yeah? Okay, now we look at B. Okay, now if you look at B, we have a quadratic function where A, B, C is given. The coefficient of the quadratic. Make a generalization on the shape of the graph if the value of A changes to -8. Okay, it's -1, now it changes to -8. Negative sign only tells us the shape of the graph. If it's negative, N shape. If it's a positive value for A, it's a U shape for quadratic. So this is an N shape. And when you change the value from 1 to 8, the value is getting bigger, then the shape of the graph is getting narrower, meaning the width of the graph is decreasing. If this is the original graph, now the new graph should be something like this. The width is decreasing or it's getting narrower. So you have to make a generalizations, so you have to write in sentences. You can go for the width of the graph is decreasing. Or you can go for the shape of the graph is getting narrower. Right, same thing. Okay, now you look at C2, B2, sorry. If the graph move 5 units upwards, meaning let's say this is the original graph and you move it upwards, then determine the maximum point. Okay, let's figure out the maximum point before we moving it upwards. What is the maximum point from here? Okay, let's figure out. Fx equals to -x squared plus 4x plus 12. If I want to find the turning point, in this case maximum point, I can differentiate it, or I can use x equals to -b over 2a. Okay, so b in this case is 4, negative 4 over 2 bracket negative 1. So I have 2. So 2 is the x value for the turning point. And what is the value for the y? You start in F2. Okay, what do you get? Negative 4 plus 8. 4 plus 12, you should have 16. So originally, the maximum point is 216. Think about it. Okay, now originally the point here it should be 216. Now we are moving it upwards. Maybe it should be somewhere around here. Upwards. So does it change your x value? No, it does not change your x value. But it will change the y value. So this one will change to 21 plus 5. So the final answer will be 221. Okay, just the y value, but not the x value, because you're bringing it upwards. Okay, number 8. 2 points have a coordinate E and F, given that C lies on a perpendicular bisector. Okay, perpendicular bisector, the usual methods will be finding the equation of it. Let's find the equations. To find the equation, if you want to visualize it, imagine you have a line EF. Perpendicular bisector basically is a perpendicular line passing through the line EF at the midpoint. Okay, so first we find the gradient of EF. So EF is 1 over 3. So the gradient for this line is 1 over 3. Therefore, the gradient for this line, the perpendicular line, should be negative 3. Because when you have this multiplied by this, it should be negative 1. Right? M1 times M2 equals to negative 1. Okay, now the gradient of this line is negative 3. One more thing, we need to find the midpoint of EF. So the midpoint of EF will be E. 2 plus 8 for X, 4 plus 6 for Y. Midpoint, 5, 5. Okay, now you have the gradient, you have one coordinate, you can form the equation already. So equation y minus 5 equals to negative 3 x minus 5. Y is equals to negative 3x plus 15 plus 15 plus 5, so it should be 20. So this is the equation. If this point 2 comma t, it lies below along this line, meaning it could be anywhere of this, meaning I could sub in the value into this equation x and y to find the value of t. So 2t. So I put t here and put 2 for x. Find the value of t. So t should be 40. Okay, so that is for A. Now you look at question B. Question B. A point R moved from two fixed points P and Q such that distance of PR is half of the distance. Okay, understand this first. PR is half of the distance of QR. Find the equation of locus R. Okay, just use distance formula in this case. So R, you have to assume that is unknown xy. Distance formula for PR, x minus 1, y minus 0, PR. So x minus 1 square, y minus 0 square, 1 over 2, QR. X minus 2 square plus y plus 3 square. Right? Plus 3. Okay. Square both sides. Okay? You square both sides. Once you square both sides, you have x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus y squared equals to, oh, you have to be careful on this part. This one. It will be 1 over 4. Okay, in order to make it more beautiful, because fraction is very hard to deal with, we multiply everything by 4 to get rid of the fraction 4. Okay, simplify it. 3x squared plus 3y squared minus 4x minus 6y minus 9 equal to 0. Okay, this should be the locus for R. Okay, equation of locus of R. Number 9. Alright, now we have a look on 9a. The length of vector k is 5 units and the direction is opposite with vector 1, negative 2. Okay, let's understand it. Let me draw a bit for you to understand better. What we have is a vector 1, negative 2. So 1, negative 2, let's start with the origin. It could be something like this, right? Because this is 1, this is negative 2, 1, negative 2. So this is the vector that is given. Now, we need to find a vector k. What we know is the length is 5 units and the direction is opposite with this. Opposite direction, then meaning it should be here. Right? Opposite directions. Then how do we write the vector? Think about that. If this is opposite direction, if this is 1, negative 2, opposite direction should be what? Negative 1 and also 2, right? So this one should be negative 1 and also 2. So the answer of it should be negative I plus 2j. This is the opposite directions. If you just look at this, basically just times negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2. So negative 1i plus 2j. This is the opposite direction. But something else is needed. You need to be 5 units. You need to know that this length, it must be 5 units. Right? It must be 5 units. But now, what we have is just this. How many units here? Okay? How many units here? We figure out first. The units here is magnitude. We have to find the magnitude. To find the magnitude, we will have negative 1 square plus 2 square. Okay. The magnitude now is set 5, meaning the length here. The length here is set 5. It needs to be 5. So what else do you need? Huh? Because you see, maybe the length is supposed to be like this. Right? It's supposed to be like this. 5, not set 5. Set 5 is until here only. Set 5 is until here only. But the length should be 5. Because set 5, you put in the calculator, set 5 is smaller. Set 5 is just 2.23. So it's just 2.23 now. How do you make it 5 longer? You have to do something with the ratio. Shouldn't be negative 1 and 2. It should be something bigger, right? You have to times the fixed ratio. What is the fixed ratio? It is set 5. Length is just set 5. How do you make the length to be 5? How do you make it to be 5? The magnitude to be 5. What do you need to multiply with? You need to multiply a fixed ratio. Think about that. You need to multiply a set 5. Alright. Set 5 times set 5 is 5, right? So all these you should have negative 1 multiplied with m, that is a fixed ratio, and 2 multiplied with a fixed ratio. And that fixed ratio should be set 5. So the final answer is you times the set 5 for the fixed ratio be negative cert phi I plus 2 cert phi j. Because writing this, the length is just cert phi. But writing this, the length must be phi. If you don't trust me, you can try to put in into a magnitude. You should get the magnitude as 5. So you have negative cert phi square plus 2 cert phi square with a square root. You should get 5 plus 20. So the answer should be 5. Okay, that's how you check your answer. So this should be the final answer. Negative cert phi I plus 2 cert phi j. Okay. Now question B. Okay, this one need to draw also, I think. Vector, right? It's easier if you draw it up. Okay. Shift X leave port O. O is the origin. When the C was come with the velocity 6i plus 8j. So to the right hand side, 6, 8 probably is like that. Make it smaller on the space. 6, 8. Okay, probably is like this. 6, 8. 6i, 8j. At the same time, shift Y left port P. Okay, I don't know what's port P. With a velocity of negative 4i and plus 4j. Given the position of vector port P is OP. Okay, I have the position vector OP. OP negative 25i. Also, it's further away. 25i and 10j. Probably here. 25i and 10j. So this is P. And then now shift Y leaving and plot P with negative 4i and 4j. Okay, got it. Let me bring it down here. Okay, so this we have a shift X, leave the plot O, in this direction, the vector. Okay, so this is X. We have a shift Y, which is here, leave in plot P, start from here, in negative 4i plus 4j. Negative 4i plus 4j in this direction. So now this is y. Okay, so x start from here going to this direction, y start from here and go to this directions. Okay. After t hours, a fixed ratio, meaning a fixed ratio, the position of shift x is times t, of course, right? Times t, and then find the position of y at the time. Position. So meaning to say you have to find, maybe y might not be here anymore. Because you see negative 4 plus 4, negative 4 plus 4, negative 8 plus 8, negative 16 plus 16. It should be somewhere here. So you want to find the position vector. We are basically finding OY. Whatever you do with position vector is comparing with the origin. We're finding OY. So how do you find OY? If you want to find OY, you must use OP, because you can find OP plus PY, right? OP plus PY. So you can have OP plus PY. Okay, OP, it is not just, OP is fixed lah, because it didn't change by the time, because it start from here. It doesn't affect, it's fixed. So we have 25i plus 10j. However, for PY, P to Y, you cannot put negative 4i plus 4j because after t hours, you might be moving to nowhere. So you must put a t. So you should plus negative 4ti plus 4tj. Okay, and that's what you have. So in terms of t, must be in terms of t. So this one, the either answer it should be 25 minus 4ti plus 10 plus 4tj. This should be your final answer. Okay, so this is OY. Now we look at, so remember key things that you have to know. Whenever we find the position vector, it must be referred to the origin, OY. OP is fixed, so you don't times anything to it because shape Y start from here. So this position vector is fixed. This is not a position vector because it keeps changing. It keeps changing by the variable of hours. If it's 1 hour, it's negative 4 plus 4. If 2 hours, it's negative 8 plus 8. So it keeps changing. That's why we need to put a T for this part, but not this part. This part is fixed. Okay, now we go to part 2. Hence, find the time when the ship X break the ship. Breaking meaning they meet. These two they meet. So now you have the velocity vector. You also have the velocity vector here. Then just make it the same. OX equals to OY. So that we meet OX equals to OY. Do you have more space? Okay. So this is my OY, right? So I keep my OY answer. This is my OY. My OX is this one. So when I compare to it, that will be 6ti plus 8tj. Okay. So this is just comparing with the identity of I and j. So now you compare to it. You compare to I. J, which is the vertical velocity, compared to the vertical velocity. So 6t 10t. Sorry. Okay, by right, you can just do any one of them. Either way, you should give it the same answer because it's fixed ratio. Okay, so that will be 2.5 hours. The t will be 2.5 hours. Okay, we go on. Solve the. Alright, now let's have a look on this question. Solve the equation using log. Okay, we have log with different base. So we have to change it to the same base and put it at the same side. So now I put all the log on the left, and then on the right we have -1. Alright, to solve this, we are going to collect this log into a single log if we can change them to the same base. So in this case, let's change this to base 2. Okay, I want you to know that square root 2 is the same as 2 to the power of 1 over 2. And that's a shortcut that I want to introduce. So this one can be written as 2 to the power of 1 over 2. And the power for this will be 1. We can always bring the power of the value in front of the log as a coefficient. Actually, we can do the same thing for this power. Okay? So when you move this to the front, it has to be 1. If you move this to the front, it will be 1 over 2. And it is 1 divided by 1 over 2. I zoom in so that you have a better view. Okay, 1 divided by 1 over 2. So when you have 1 divided by 1 over 2, you will have 2. 2 log base 2 of 2 minus x equals to -1. And then now we bring it back as the power for the value. Okay, now 2 log with the same base, we're going to combine it into a single log minus between the value. So we're going to have division equals to -1. Once you have a single log, we change it to index form, exponential form. Then we will have x squared minus 4 over 2 minus x squared equals to 2 power of -1. 2 power of -1 is the same as 1 over 2. And then we do cross multiplications. 2x squared minus 8 equals to 2 minus x squared. Expand it. And then put everything on the left. Solve this quadratic. And then we solve it. Six x minus 2x 4x. So the equation will be x equals to -6 and 2. Can we accept all the value or we have to reject one of them? Let me check. If I put -6 here or -6 here, if I put -6 here, it will become positive, so it's fine. If I put 2 here, it's fine. Right? Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, I have to reject this answer. Because you see, I reject 2. Because if I sub the value of 2 into here, I will have 0. And you can't have a value which is a 0 for a log. It has to be a positive value. You can try putting log 0 into calculator. It will be an error, mathematical error. Therefore, the final answer should be just x equals to -6. -6 is fine. You don't reject it because it's negative value. Because if you put -6 here, it will be 36 minus 4, 32, perfectly fine. If you put -6 here, it become 8, perfectly fine. Okay? So that is the answer for 10A. Okay, now we look at the question for 10B. The area of a rectangle and the length, find the width. Okay, simple, right? Because we know that area of rectangle equals to length multiplied with width. If we are looking for the width, we will have the area divided by the length, which is this. To proceed, we need to rationalize it by multiplying the conjugate surd. A plus B, A minus B. Therefore, we have A squared minus B squared. 6, 3. 6 minus 3. So you still have 3. 2 sub 3 minus 3 sub 3. So minus sub 3. 3 minus sub 3. And you have 4 minus 3, 1. So the final answer, 3 minus sub 3 or root 3. That's the final answer. So 10B, 11. Given that where is the okay. Given that 10A over 2 equals to 1 minus sin A over cos A without using calculator, so all the mandatory working step has to be listed out. without using the calculator. Find the value of tan 30 in the answer of, okay. Start with tan 30. Tan 30 degree will be the same as tan 60 degree over 2, right? Why I turn it to this format? So that I can put a 60 into the equation here to make full use of this. Okay. So that will be the same as 1 minus sine 60 over cos 60. Okay, for this part, you can't use a calculator. You have to convince the examiner that you can use a calculator, but you can still use a calculator to check your answers, right? So sine 60, you can check your answer. Cos 60, you can check your answer. But if you want to convince your examiner, you need to draw something like this. Okay, first you draw an equilateral triangle. So equilateral triangle with each side will be 60 degree each. And then let's make it 2 cm each. Okay, this is something that you have to remember. Lah. Then I'm going to break this into 2 equal halves. Okay, to form a right angle triangle. So since you break this to 2 equal halves, so this will be 1 cm. This will be 2 cm. This will be 30 degree. Okay, not important. This 90. If you're using Pythagoras theorem, 2 square minus 1 square with a square root, this is sub 3. Okay, now I want to figure out sine 60. So 60 angle is here. Label OAH. This is my O. This is my A. This is my H. So sine 60 equals to OH. Then cos 60 will be equals to 1 over 2. Okay, replace it. Replace sine 60 with this, cos 60 with this. Sine 60, sub 3 over 2, cos 60, 1 over 2. Right, we can't have a fraction in a fraction, so make sure the denominator has been eliminated. We have 2 minus sub 3. That's the answer. 2 minus sub 3 over 1, so 2 minus sub 3 is the final answer. Okay. So the key thing is without using calculator, you must show enough and also clear working steps to convince your examiner that you did not use a calculator in this. Okay, question 12. Determine the number of terms for the following progressions. First, decide whether this is an AP or GP. Okay, this is a AP. The difference is 3p squared plus 3p squared. This is AP. So the A is 2p squared and the D is 3p squared and the last term is 92p 2 squared. 92p squared. Okay lah. So this is since the last term is given, which formula are we going to leverage on? The n term formula. Right? Cannot be the Sn formula, the n term formula. So the n term formula would be Tn equals to A plus n minus 1d. And which term are we referring to? The last term, 92p squared. Because if you put in the last term, the corresponding n value will tell you the number of terms. As long as you know the last term, you know the total number of terms. Equals to 2p squared plus n minus 1 bracket 3p squared. Okay, find the value of n. Okay, so make this a subject. 92p squared minus 2p squared over 3p squared equals to n minus 1. Simplify it. 90p squared over 3p squared. 30 equals to n minus 1. So n is 31. So there are total of 31 terms lah into it lah. Okay. Oh, so I'm not done just now. Okay, because I forgot about solving it. Okay, let's finish this part first. Okay, so what do I get just now? Okay, just now what I get it was nothing to do with the question just now. So I'm solving this now. 10 a over 2 equals to cos a, and I can replace this with this since they are the same thing. So 1 minus sine a over cos a, the same as cos a, solve. Okay. The best thing to do, move it over. Cos square a, remember this formula, cos square a plus sine square a equals to 1. Sine cos, you are not going anywhere except you change it to in terms of n, in terms of sine. So we make cos square a as a subject, that will be 1 minus sine square a. So we're going to use this one. We're going to replace this with this. Group everything into the same side. This is a quadratic, people. This is a quadratic, everyone. This is a quadratic, so you can solve it by factorize it. Take out sine a. So there's another sine a here, minus 1 equal to 0. So sine a could be 0 or 1. Okay, sine a could be 0 or 1. Then you find the value of a. So remember, you can solve this using the quadrant. This quadrant, or sine teacher crazy. You can use this quadrant, or you can use the graph. Remember how the graph looks like? Sorry. Okay, this is 0, 90, 180, 360. The one that achieves 0 and 1 will be, because remember, the amplitude is 1, the amplitude is negative 1. So 0 and 1 will be 0, 90, 90 for 1, 180 for 0, 360 for 0. So A should be 0, 90, 180 and 360. But can it be 0? Sine 0. Okay, this will be the answer for it. Oh, but excluding 0. So excluding 0 meaning I can't take this as answer. 90, 180 and 360. Alright, so we go back to the question just now. We solved for the 12a. So now we continue with 12b. Okay, 12p, the 9th term of arithmetic progressions. 9th term, 80 is 36. How do you write an equation about it? 9th term meaning term 9. Term 9 is the same as a plus 80 equals to 36. Sum. So you know what formula lah? Sum 19. Sum 19 is 760. N over 2, 2a plus n minus 1 d. Okay, determine the sum of the 5 terms after 19 term. Okay, let's figure out a and d first lah. Then you can sort out everything. Okay, let's figure out a and d first. Simultaneous equation. Make a as a subject. And then you can sub in here. 760 equals to 19 over 2. 2a, now it is 2 bracket 36 minus 80 plus 18d. 72 minus 16 plus 8, 2d. $760 divided by 19 equal to 36 plus d. Is it going to be beautiful? No. Something is wrong. Let me check the working one more time. 36 minus 80, 19 over 2, that's 1. 2a minus 18d, that's 1. 760. Oh, 72 minus 16 plus 18 is 2d. Check one more time. Sum of the first 19 term is 1700. Okay, it's more beautiful this way. 72 minus 16d plus 18d. 80 equals to 72 plus 2d. So d is 4. Okay, make it more sense now. Sub in here, d is 2. So a equals to 36 minus 8, and a is also 4. A4, D4. A4, D4, that is the answer. A4, D4. Now we are finding 5 terms after 19 terms. You have to know, this is the concept. T19, T20, T21, 22, 23, 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 terms after 19 terms. We are looking from T24 until T20. So to do this one, right, you need to find it here, right? The idea will be you're finding S24 minus S19. S24, S19. If you're finding T19, if you're finding all this, you're finding the sum of the first 5 terms after T19, that will be S24 minus S19. Okay, so S24, 24 over 2, 2a plus 23d minus, this one is given, right? S19. S19 is 760, so you don't have to calculate one more time. 440. Final answer. Okay. 13. There are 40 spherical marbles with radius xcm and 60 spherical marbles with radius ycm. X plus y. Find the total volume maximum. Okay. So there are two unknown here and maximum. So this happens with differentiation. Volume. What is the volume of a sphere? 4 over 3 pi r cubed. Okay. So we have V equals to 40. 40 is 40 4 over 3 pi r. R is x cubed. Okay. Plus 60 4 over 3 pi y cubed. Okay. There's unknown x and y, so we have to change it to the same unknown by using this formula. Let's change it to x. So I don't write y cubed, but I write 15 minus x cubed. Okay. Simplify it. Okay. To figure out the maximum value, you have to differentiate it. dv dx part by part, 160 pi x squared plus, then negative 1 here. So negative 240 pi 15 minus x squared, and let it be 0. Expand it, right? Yeah, expand it first. Oh, huge number. Okay, you can divide everything by pi to make it more familiar. Collect the like terms. Simplify it. Okay, solve using your calculator. Factorizations. Oh, not beautiful. Okay, if it's not beautiful, can't use cross factorizations. You have to use formula. Negative b 19 b squared eventually you should have the answer of 81.74 and also 8.258. That is the value for x. Okay, then you have to find the value of y. Because we know that x plus y equals to 15. This one, it is still possible if you put it here. But 81.74, you can't put it here. It's more than the total value of x plus y. Therefore, you don't accept both answers. You reject this one. Then we find the value of y. So x is 8.258 and y should be 15 minus of this value 6.742. So this is the value for x and y. 13. Okay, 14. Sketch the graph is given, right? y equals to ax squared plus b, where a is less than 0, b more than 0. Okay, let me write it down. A less than 0, b more than 0. Look at this graph. This is not typo, This is x squared. Meaning from a linear curve, okay, from a linear curve, we turn to a straight line already, right? Because we rewrite it again in capital, it is y equals to mx plus c. So your m is a, your c is b. Since your m is negative, then this should be a straight line inclining to the right, right? Because if it's a positive gradient, this is how you draw your straight line. If it's a negative gradient, inclining to the right. And the b is actually your c-intercept. Your c-intercept is positive. It makes a difference. If it's a positive, it should be something like this, the straight line. Because the y-intercept is positive. Because if you draw like this, your y-intercept is negative, then it's not right. It should be positive for y-intercept. Okay, so it should be here. Okay, you get full marks. Okay, part B. Diagram 13 show the graph. Based on the graph, a table of linear to non-linear to linear. And rearrange this one one by one first. Probably this one first. MTQ. We find M first. Okay, we take this coordinate. What is this? Negative 4, 0. Okay, this one can be done. So we sub into this equation. 0 equals to negative 4 squared minus 4m. 4m equals to 16 and m equals to 4. Okay, so we now know that it is actually y equals to x squared plus 4x. This is the equation of the curved line. By having y over x against x with a new table, we already change this curved line into a straight line. So we have to change this into a straight line equation. How? By knowing that this is your capital Y and this is your capital X. So in order to have the capital Y of y over x, you divide the whole thing by x. Y over x equals to x plus 4. And then you know that this is your capital Y, and x plus c. From here, you can tell the y-intercept is 4, the gradient is 1. Okay. Now we have this formula, we can find these two easily. This is your capital Y, this is your capital X, negative 5 and P. Okay, let's put it in. P is your Y, M is 1. So I put 1. X is P, C is 4. Oh, this is negative 5. X is negative 5. So P equals to negative 1. And then K you sub into Y, then negative 2 you sub into X. So K, I did it wrongly. Okay, one more time. So I write again, huh? So if I write again, it is y equals to x plus 4. This is the equation, right? Because the gradient is 1. We sub negative 5 into here, we sub p into here. So p equals to negative 5 plus 4 equals to negative 1. I always do it wrongly here. So for second time. Oh my, negative 5 here. Negative 5 equals to p plus 4. So p is negative 9. Okay, right? Now we do the same thing for k and negative 2. Then k is here. Then I put 1 bracket negative 2 plus 4. So k equals to 2. So this is the final answer for p. This is the final answer for k. Alright. Then we go on to the last questions. 3 types of solution. The first solution contains 10% of acid. Second, 14. Okay. 1 day to prepare 500 liter concentrations. This is a system of equation. 3 unknown, so you have to have 3 equations. We let the first solution, we let the volume of the first solution to be x. Volume of the second solution to be y, volume for the third solution to be z, and the total volume is 500. Okay, that is our first equation. And then now we know that 0.1 of x, 0.1x plus 0.54y plus 0.6z, all these acid with a concentrations of 45%, meaning 0.45 of 500. This is the second equation. Can we simplify it? Of course we do, right? Okay, let me simplify. Two to 5. So this one, we love it off. Okay. We need one more. 3 unknown, 3 equation. The available amount of 10% acid is twice the amount. Okay. So 0.1x equals to twice 0.4y. That is your third or amount, the available amount. So it's about volume, right? The available amount meaning is x equals to 2y. How much? Okay, now we can solve everything. So sub in. Whenever you see x, you sub in with 2y. So whenever you see x, you sub in with 2y. So now you have 2y plus y plus z equals to 500. 0.12y plus 0.4y plus 0.6z equals to 225. Three y plus z equals to 500, and then here 0.2y, so 0.6y plus 0.6z equals to 225. This one times 10, this one times 2, 6y plus 2z equals to 1000. Equation 1, 6y plus 6z equals to 2150. This is equation 2. Equation 2 minus equation 1. 6 minus 2. 4z 1250 z 312.5, and then now sub in here to find your y times 6 divided by 6, y 62.5, and x is 2y 125. Final answer. Okay, no more. Alright, thank you.